servers and the preparers of our meal this morning. Outstanding job. Again, my name is Dave McCann from BYU TV, and it is a pleasure to be here. It's a special year. Gonzaga is ranked #1 in the country. Congratulations. A lot of Gonzaga fans know that I work for BYU TV, and some know that I went to BYU. And so they like to tell me how good their basketball team is. And they ask how it feels, you know, to be second when they are #1. And I let them have their spiel, and I look them right in the eye, and I say, listen, since the second we joined this league, we have had the best football team. And no one can stand up to that. And then they look at me and walk away because they realize that this conversation had bottomed out. We wish the Zags the best in the next tournament, but in this tournament is every man and woman for him or herself, and we look forward to some great battles in the coming days. What a pleasure it is to introduce the West Coast Conference Commissioner, Gloria Nevarez, who will make her debut here in this Hall of Honor. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here for the first time and to be back in this league. So many old friends, and I've met so many wonderful new faces and friends. And thank you for coming out this morning to help us honor such a great history in the West Coast Conference. Welcome to the 11th Annual West Coast Conference Hall of Honor Brunch and Induction Ceremony. On behalf of the West Coast Conference and our member institutions, we are happy that you can join us to induct a class of 10 remarkable individuals to the 2019 Hall of Fame class. We'd also like to take a moment to welcome and thank our friends from University Credit Union who are in attendance this morning. UCU has committed to the conference long term, and we couldn't be more excited about the fit and alignment they share with our values. They are our largest tournament title sponsor in league history. We would like, thank you, yes. We'd like to give a special thank you and acknowledgement to UCU President and CEO David Tuyo and Chief Engagement Officer Prisciliana Esparolini. Where's David and Prez? Right back there. We'd also like to thank you for the generous gift of the Beats pills that you've provided to our inductees today. So thank you for everything you've done. We look forward to our continued partnership. The West Coast Conference Hall of Honor inductees continue to impress with their high caliber of athletic and non-athletic achievements. Our conference prides itself on holistic development of student athletes who move on to establish legacies for both their institutions and their communities. Today, we are honored to claim each of these 10 individuals as West Coast Conference alumni, each of who continues to impact the world beyond athletics in a positive way. With that, I welcome you to this year's Hall of Honor event and hope you enjoy our program as we celebrate some of the conference's best student athletes and administrators. I also hope that you are able to explore the vibrant city of Las Vegas as well as the competitive basketball games and events surrounding our championship to get a feel of what makes the West Coast Conference so special. So on behalf of the league and myself, welcome and please enjoy our program.
Thank you, Gloria. And on behalf of BYU TV, it is a pleasure to be a television partner with the West Coast Conference and have our relationship with you. A lot of you have been to the Marriott Center. As you go in, if you're going to take the stairs, there's always a student there to check your ID or credential to make sure you belong. Pacific was in town, I think, a month or so ago, and we were getting ready for that broadcast, and I walked down the hallway, and there was a student with his nose in a book, oblivious to everything, and I knew I had to check my credential, and so I just made some small talk. I said, hey, what are we reading tonight? And he didn't look up, and he said, nuclear science. And it struck me as, you know, wasn't quite sure what to say, so I said the first thing I could think of, and I said, well, do you have any questions? And he looked up, and he goes, yeah, what is nuclear science? Now, I'm not the smartest guy, but I know on the first page is the introductory and an explanation of nuclear science. I said, dude, it's on the first page. Just read the first page. Did our thing, and I can't tell you how relieved I was to not see him in his seat after the game. But those are the students that we have coming. These institutions are full of the brightest young minds. They're studying nuclear science and things like that. And how proud we must all be to have that kind of enrollment. So that's the future. Today we get to honor the past and some great accomplishments from some amazing people. There will also be grief counselors waiting for the rest of us at the door to help convince us to go ahead and keep living after we hear what these honorees have done with their lives. So here's how this will work. I'll have a brief introduction, then we'll have a video clip, and then the honoree will come forward, and our West Coast Conference reporter, Sammy O'Brien, who does an outstanding job, will grill them in the hot seats. That's why they're red. Those are the hot seats. And then we'll move through our list, and at the end, we'll bring the honorees up and have a group photo and wrap it up from there. Let us begin with Portland. Stephanie Lopez Cox, a four-time All-West Coast Conference first-team selection. Stephanie began her time with the Pilots by earning freshman All-America first-team accolades in 2003. Cox stepped away from the Pilots in 2004 to compete at the FIFA World Championships with the U.S. Under-19 national team. In 2005, she helped lead the Pilots through a historical season that culminated with an unbeaten record and the program's second NCAA championship in 3 years. Cox was named an All-American 3 times. She earned the Lowe's Senior Class Award and was named the WCC's Defender of the Year for the second time. She landed on the WCC All-Academic Team 3 times and was the 2007 WCC Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. She continued her standout career on the international stage with the U.S. women's national team winning the gold medal at the 2008 Olympics. She played in a pair of World Cups, and she enjoyed a lengthy professional career.
Steph was just one of those players that when she came to UP, she was born ready to play. She had all the technique, all the confidence, and she just knew how to play the game really well. Steph just had this incredible determination and willingness to hop into any situation and play her best. She was always on top of her academics and always got really good grades despite her national team duties, and she always made academics a huge priority for herself. Steph's a wonderful coach. She just knows how to read the game. She knows how to speak in the language that players understand. And she knows how to communicate to each player so that they can learn. And she loves coaching with the Reign too, and also her local high school team. So she's really active in that community, and I think it brings a lot to her life to be able to help young players improve. And also help them keep into perspective what soccer can teach you. When I was getting married, Steph was my maid of honor, and we had scheduled the wedding to be right around her national team schedule because it was 2008. This was at the height of them training to go to Beijing. And she told me afterwards that she had to actually miss a really important national team commitment because they had changed the schedule. But she was sort of calm about it and just said, you know, sometimes you just have to miss things for life, and it's really important to take care of the most important things in your life. So it just goes to show that Steph was just one of those people that knew that it wasn't always just about soccer, and soccer was extremely important to her, but at the same time she knew how to keep it into really good perspective. On behalf of the University of Portland, it's my pleasure to induct Stephanie Lopez Cox into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Steph, you're an inspiration to women and athletes everywhere. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the University of Portland, Miss Stephanie Lopez Cox.
Wow. Before we start, a special video. I was trying to keep my tears together before I get up here. But I just want to say thank you to the Hall of Honor Committee, to Commissioner Nevarez, for everyone who's put on just a special event. This is incredible. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like, but so honored to be a part of this class and to have all of my family here. So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, Stephanie. Of course, first off, we'll dive into your career just a little bit. I won't hash out too much of what was already mentioned, but I mean, 4-time All-WCC first team, 3-time All-American, and a national champion. What of that sticks out to you the most?
Yeah, I think all of those kind of accolades and honors are great as an athlete, but what sticks out to me most is that it's really challenging being a college student athlete. There's so much to balance, and just the kind of the pursuit of excellence in all areas. So Ruth kind of mentioned that, just the balance to make sure that friends and family are right, but also the grades. So I kind of forgot the one that was mentioned on the video, the all WCC academic team. I think is actually what I'm really most proud of. I was gone a lot with the U.S. national team, so proud of my grades, but I just am so grateful for the support. I think in this conference we just have a really high focus on academics and on that support. I loved being a part of a small university where I had personal contact with my advisor, with my professors who wanted me to succeed. So just their commitment and their support of me was really helped me.
And of course, I mean, on the field, a very successful team you were a part of, culminated the program's second NCAA championship in 3 years. That season, what was that like?
Yeah, we went undefeated. It was a pretty dream season. But I love being a part of a team. I'm so glad that I never chose individual sports. Just the pressure and to know that I could rely on all my teammates. We all, knew our role. We knew what we had to do. We put the team first. We were all pushing each other. I think Ruth reminded me that our phrase was check your ego at the door. So we had a lot of talented international players, but it was about the team first. And I was thinking about this in the semis of the Final Four. We played Penn State, and we were tied 0-0, and we went into penalty kicks. And, my coach subbed me off for penalty kicks. So there were 10 players on the field, and apparently I wasn't in the top 10 to take the PK, but sure enough, the player who hadn't played a single minute really of the whole game, she stepped up, nailed her penalty, upper 90, and she did her job, and I was there. That was fine, on the sideline, ready to cheer my team on. So whatever role we had, that was it, and we went on to beat UCLA 4-0 in the final.
I know at the beginning of this you had thanked some people beforehand, but is there anyone else that you specifically want to thank?
Yeah, just thank you to the University of Portland, to the athletic administration for this incredible honor. I'm so proud to wear purple and to represent our community, our soccer program. Michelle French, the head coach, is here of the women's soccer team, so thanks, Frenchie, for coming, and definitely to just my family of a full table. They were all, Vegas, we're in, so my two girls, I think the platform that I have as a women's soccer player and as a pro, it's just special to see how I can continue to inspire young girls to achieve their dreams. So I love having two young girls and being that role model for them. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. I've never heard anyone ever say it isn't fun beating UCLA, no matter when it happened. From Loyola Marymount, Tara Erdman Welling, a 7-time All-American in cross-country and track. Tara Welling went on to represent the Lions at the U.S. Olympic trial qualifiers in both 10,000 and 5,000 meters. She started her LMU career by taking home both West Coast Conference and LMU Freshman of the Year accolades before capping her time on campus with back-to-back LMU Female Athlete of the Year selections in 2010 and 11, and 2011, 2012. She set 4 school records in the 2010 track season and held Division I's fastest 10K time in 2011.
Tara Erdman, now Welling, is probably one of, if not the most decorated athlete to come out of Loyola Marymount. And you know, at the conference level, she is a 3-time West Coast Conference cross-country champion, and I believe to date is still the only individual ever to win the conference championship 3 times.
And Erdman is going to come in with an unofficial time of 20 minutes and 1 second.
In the recruiting process, when she was here for a visit, sitting across from her, and I might be romanticizing it slightly, but I think it could have literally been on a napkin, you know, sort of goals and things that she wanted to accomplish no matter where she went. And one of those was that she wanted to stay 5 years wherever she went to school, because that 5th year, 2012, was an Olympic year, and she had a goal to qualify for the Olympic trials. Of course, I was perfectly fine with those goals, but you know, again, this was 5 years out, you know, sitting across from a junior, senior in high school. But lo and behold, she went on and she did just that. Tara is probably, you know, one of the most humble, honest, hardworking individuals that really I've ever encountered. Always putting in 100%, you know, never afraid, never shirking from the competition, and always representing, whether it be LMU, whether it be the WCC, always someone that you're really, really proud to have on your team. Even as she moved out of college and into the professional ranks, she has always tried to give back to the community, and I think to the folks who you know, helped her get to where she is. She and her husband have started a coaching business also as a way to give back. On behalf of Loyola Marymount University, it is my pleasure to induct Tara Erdman Welling into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class.
From Loyola Marymount University, Tara Erdman Welling.
All right, Tara, I want to get started. In the video, your coach mentioned a story, whether he romanticized it or not, of you wanting to be at LMU for 5 years, coming in as a freshman because you wanted to go to the Olympics in that 2012 year. How much of that is true? How much of that do you remember?
It's completely true. When I was looking at going to schools, I had kind of a few requirements, and those were I wanted to find a school that had a really good fit and a good coach and a good program. I wanted to sign early, and I wanted to stay 5 years because I knew that the Olympic trials was my big goal, and I didn't want to have to change coaches before that event, because I knew if I found the right coach, I could get there.
And a lot of accomplishments, a lot you got done in your time at LMU, a lot of records broken as well as mentioned. What are you most proud of at your time at LMU?
I think I'm most proud of, in terms of accomplishments, I'm most proud of my 10K. Many people may not believe it here, but I actually came in, I told Coach I was going to be a miler, I was never going to do the 5K, and I don't even think I had a clue how many laps on a track a 10K was at the time. So I think my 10K is what I'm most proud of, but really, you know, those were kind of solo efforts, and with the team I really enjoyed going to conference and regionals and having the team surround me.
And of course, your professional career afterwards, going to the U.S. Olympic trial qualifiers. I mean, what did you learn from that experience?
There's a lot of really good runners out there. I mean, I had to work really hard, and I was really proud to make the Olympic trials, but coming out of college and going to the Olympic trials and competing professionally, it's a whole nother ballgame, and there's a lot of really good women that you have to keep working hard in order to stick with it.
I'm going to leave the floor open for you to thank whoever you want.
Yeah, I've got a full table of LMU administration and staff. My coach made it out here. My old athletic director, the new athletic director that I got to meet, and I have a full table of my husband Jordan, my parents, both my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, sister-in-law, and my 8-week-old baby girl. So,
Congrats.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tara, thank you. From St. Mary's, Trevor Newquist, one of the most successful student athletes all time for the St. Mary's men's soccer program. He graduated as a member of the first West Coast Conference championship team, led the Gales to 2 NCAA tournament appearances, and left as the winningest class in St. Mary's history. He began his career by being named to the West Coast Conference All-Freshman team and leading the Gales to their first NCAA tournament appearance in program history. In 2011, Newquist anchored the defense for the Gales' first WCC championship and led St. Mary's to a round of 16 berth in the NCAA tournament. In his senior season, he was named the West Coast Conference Defensive Player of the Year and first-team NSCAA All-Region. An athletic defender who can score goals, Newquist ended his career in the top 10 in goals scored, assists, and matches played. He graduated from St. Mary's with a bachelor's in kinesiology and just finished his master's degree from St. Mary's College in sports management.
Trevor was incredible for our program. Again, I think Trevor helped put us on the national scene from his freshman year, and we haven't looked back since. He scored some huge goals for our program. He captained teams that went to the NCAA tournament, led us to an Elite Eight, first time history. He was Defender of the Year in the conference for only the second time in school history that we had somebody from our program Defender of the Year. He was monumental in bringing our program to get national attention and really propel us to that next level that we were looking to get to. In 2009, which was his freshman year, that was the first year our program made the NCAA tournament. Trevor played a huge part in that season for us, started every game as a freshman. In Trevor's junior year, that was the first time our program ever won the West Coast Conference. Trevor was everything you want in a Division I athlete. He was an incredible teammate. He embraced every role that you gave him. He was a leader. He was tough as nails. He was great off the field, incredible in the classroom with his teammates. Community service. Trevor really did everything that was ever asked of him. No questions asked, just put his nose down and grinded and got it done with a smile on his face every day. Trevor's biggest strength was just his character. He leads by example. His work ethic is tireless. He's strong, he's tough, he's everything a winner would do on the field in terms of competing, in terms of leading. On behalf of St. Mary's College, it is my absolute pleasure to induct Trevor Newquist into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Trev, I am so proud of you. Congratulations.
From St. Mary's College, Trevor Newquist.
Some really great photos in that video.
That was entertaining to edit, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Trevor, we'll get started. I mean, as a freshman, first tournament appearance for St. Mary's, and then as a junior, first conference title for the St. Mary's men's soccer program. I mean, what did that do for the program?
Yeah, that was huge. I remember coming in as a freshman, and the history of the program was only had 2 winning seasons up to that point. Never won 10 games in a season, never won a WCC title or gone to the NCAA tournament. So I remember talking with Coop and the head coach, and these are things that we kind of mapped out for those 4 years. Is first year, let's try and win 10 games, and fortunately, if we were able to make the tournament, but we still had a lot to improve on. We came in that year, we went to the tournament, lost 3-0 to Stanford, and it was clear that we were satisfied to be there. We were happy. Oh, we made the tournament for the first time. But we needed to improve upon that, and I think that's what happened in 2011 is we realized that the expectations we want for the program is to make the tournament every year and to compete for a conference championship. And to be able to win that year was huge for the program, and had a lot of obstacles to overcome. You know, we had a teammate pass away before the season that we dedicated the year to, and started the season off 1-3-3, which isn't very good. But somehow put it together and had a really resilient group, and obviously a very special year for the program. And to see where the program's gone now is unbelievable, in this past season being the only undefeated team in college soccer. So it's been great.
We'll get to this year's team just a little bit.
I'm anxious.
I know, that was a good year. But your senior year, personally, I mean, all of the things that were listed off, Defensive Player of the Year, ending your career top 10 in a numerous amount of categories, and then your senior group leaving the winningest class in St. Mary's men's soccer history. What are you most proud of at your time at St. Mary's?
Yeah, you know, the individual accolades and the stats are fun and good, but what's most important and what I'm most proud of is being part of that winningest class in St. Mary's history. You know, if you're an athlete and you're a competitor, that's what you want to do. You want to win. And what that accolade tells me is that we didn't just win 1 or 2 seasons. We were successful for 4 years. And that was, you know, the goal coming in, not just myself, but our group was we want to leave the program off better than when it was when we came in, and we certainly did that. But, you know, I really don't feel like I'm here right now being acknowledged in this way without the success of our teams. I mean, we have some amazing inductees this year that have some incredible accolades, and on individual accolades alone, I don't get to be here, that's for sure. And it really is all to the success of our teams, and it's great teammates that made a lot of sacrifices and were very selfless, and us being successful.
And you touched upon that great season the team has had this year, nationally relevant. I mean, they went undefeated in the regular season, just losing to Stanford on PKs at Stanford.
Yeah, they got our number.
How do you feel that what you guys started is now still being carried on into the St. Mary's men's soccer program?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to look in just the last 10 years to see how much the program has accomplished, and just following the team this year, and you know, they started off 8-0, 10-0, and you're like, all right, eventually this is going to slip up, you know, one of these games. And to go undefeated in college soccer is an incredible feat. I mean, that's just amazing. And when I look at the teams that I was part of, and this year, you know, I don't like to compliment them at all, but the real constant is the head coach and Coach Cooper. And he's done an amazing job. He's really built the program up from the bottom up, and to now be in a position where we're recognized nationally and competing for national championships is something that I never really would have thought of, you know, when I came in as a freshman. So just so proud of how much we've accomplished.
Well, Trevor, anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah. As I said, I don't like to say good things about Coop, but I mean, I owe a great deal to him. I really do. And you know, I don't necessarily know what he saw in me coming out of high school, but he took a chance on me, and you know, he's a coach that not only cares about your success on the field, but even more so cares about your success off it. And he's not done coaching after 4 years, unfortunately, that's for sure. He's constantly calling, texting, seeing how things are going, what he can do, and that's just amazing to have in a coach. And my family, trying to wrap it up here, a lot of people to thank, but my family, I mean, my parents, they never told me, hey, you got to play one sport. They've always been open, and you know, I'm just a sports nerd playing, you know, 5, 6 sports, whatever I could, and they always supported me, and I couldn't have done it without them. And my brother and sister, you know, my biggest fans, always knew where they were every single game, and constantly sacrificing their own events and activities to support me. And then my wife, I probably should have mentioned her first, but she only went to 1 soccer game in 4 years, though, so we can't feel too bad for her. But she's a blessing, and you know, I'm a much better person since I've met her. And thank the athletic department. You know, I couldn't have done it without them. They've been amazing, and St. Mary's will always be home. And thank you to the WCC and the hospitality this week. It's you know, early, but it's been very special, and just happy to be here.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Trevor, congratulations. From Santa Clara, Karen Chopilis Horstmeyer. Karen began her career with Santa Clara basketball in 1980. As a star on the court, she earned a number of records, most points in a game, season, and career, while playing in the most games in Santa Clara history. At the age of 25, she became the head coach of the Broncos women's basketball program, and her success continued. Her teams made 4 NCAA tournament appearances, won a WNIT championship in 1991, earned 6 regular season WCC titles, and 2 WCC tournament championships. After Santa Clara, she served as head coach of the East team at the U.S. Olympic Festival in 1993, and she's been active on the selection committees for the U.S. national team. She's received the Converse Coach of the Year Award and the Kodak All-American Team Award.
Karen Horstmeyer is a phenomenal human being. Not only was she a player here at Santa Clara and broke records and set the bar high for future student athletes to come after her, but she was able to really affect the lives of those in the community, those in the Santa Clara family, and inspire young athletes in the area to want to not only play for her program, but be better people. To me, the reason why Karen was a phenomenal basketball coach is because she was really able to balance her intensity with her sensitivity. Karen required a very high level of production at her practices. It was intense, it was difficult, it was hard. But then when we would get off the court, she was so nurturing. And I feel like that's really where her gift was. She was a coach that inspired you to be incredibly hardcore and determined, but she also gave you the tools necessary to be able to go out into the community post-graduation and become a leader. Beyond basketball and her career here at Santa Clara and then Cal Berkeley, she established the Karen Horstmeyer Girls Basketball Camp for young girls in the Marin community. And she said that it's more than just basketball, it's about life lessons. And when you're given the gift of being able to parlay your knowledge and your passion for a game to young girls and let them know that not everything is basketball and the lessons aren't all game related, but it's all about how you can take what she's giving you to make you more confident, to make you be the best that you can be. And she truly inspires the youth, which is our future. On behalf of Santa Clara University, it is my pleasure to induct Karen Horstmeyer into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Karen, this is such an honor, and no one is more deserving than you. Congratulations.
From Santa Clara, Karen Chopilis Horstmeyer.
All right, Karen, well, we'll get started first. Your playing career, a lot of records there at Santa Clara. What are you most proud of as your time as a Bronco, as a player?
Well, first of all, one of my former assistant coaches, Jen Young, who's right there, just offered to wheel me up in a wheelchair because I'm not sure I can remember back that long ago. So what I can remember most about my playing career, I think probably is making all conference with some just, great players, great teams. And I had great teammates, and all of them really, help a player make those things. And I have to say my experience as a player was so great all around that I just love the entire experience.
And I mean, as a coach, you started with the Broncos at 25 years old, if you can go back that far as well. What would you say sticks out as the most memorable moment in your coaching career?
I definitely have a very memorable, and I can remember that. In my coaching career, because we won the NIT championship, but it was what led up to the NIT championship. The first year I took over Santa Clara, we were 7-21. The second year we were 9-19, and the third year we ended up 28-3. Why I remember that so well is at the time in the NCAA, they only allowed 48 teams in the NCAA tournament. Nobody had ever heard of Santa Clara. At the time before the NIT, we were 25-3. We did not make the NCAA tournament at 25-3. From there, we got the 8th out of 8th seed in the NIT. We got seeded against Notre Dame, who is always in the top 5 right now. They were the #1 seed in the NIT tournament. and we beat them by 16. We then came across Kansas, who had a player who was dunking in those days, 1991, dunking the basketball, and my players were like this. And I said, oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. And we beat them by 3. And we went on to the championship against Indiana and ended up winning the championship of the NIT. And you know, what's nice, and you know, I'll thank them after, but my sister was on that team. I coached my sister for 2 years. I hadn't recruited her. She's here today. She was an outstanding player. And a big reason why we won the NIT, but that is clearly my most memorable moment, even through the NCAAs, but with that turnaround and the players and winning the NIT after having no respect, Santa Clara got put on the map.
As a player and then as a coach, how do you look back at your time at Santa Clara?
I would never give it up for anything. I'm so glad I had been accepted to UCLA. I was going to UCLA until July of that next year. And Ken Thompson was my basketball coach and offered the scholarship. I had always wanted to go to UCLA, and I made the choice to go to Santa Clara. It was the best choice I ever could have made, both basketball, coaching. I don't know where I would be now. Maybe I never would have been a coach had I been at UCLA. But the people, the camaraderie, everything could not have been better at Santa Clara University, and my time was fantastic.
And open to you, whoever you want to thank.
So many people to thank, and I will thank my husband first. Bill Horst, Meyer, he's at this table, but I think one thing, if you've ever coached, you realize your significant other is the unsung hero, because they put up with the wins. Well, they didn't put up with the wins. They love the wins, you're happy. But they put up with the losses, right? You're not very nice sometimes after a loss. They're there, they're supportive, all those great things. So really, he's been the strength all these years. So I thank my husband, Bill. I have a great table here, which actually I'll get to you guys, but really I want to thank the WCC, Gloria, Nevarez, and Renee Baumgartner at Santa Clara, who's an awesome AD, but the whole Santa Clara athletic family that is the reason that I'm up here, and I really, really thank you guys very much. They're all at that table there. And then this table, I have not only family, friends, former coaches, but my family was always there. My mother, my aunt, my sister, they were always there. They traveled an hour and a half to come see every game I played, every game I coached. And that was pretty phenomenal. So I really want to thank them. And then I have some former classmates and, you know, my friends, and yeah, just awesome. Last and not least, though, I think it's really important to know, you know, how does this happen? It happens because of the amazing players I coached. Okay, the amazing players I coached and the amazing assistant coaches that I had. What I've learned over time, you surround yourself with great people. And you know, that's why I'm up here, and I thank all of them tremendously. Once a Bronco, always a Bronco.
Thank you, Karen.
Due to Karen's extended comments, today's tip-off's been moved back to 1:30. I appreciate you acknowledging your spouse first. I just want Trevor to know we've all been there. As guys, we're just trying to get it through, and sometimes, you know, it takes us a minute to get there. From San Francisco, Orlando Smart. Since the mid-1980s, arguably no player has been more important to the University of San Francisco's men's basketball program than Orlando Smart. He's one of 3 players in USF history to score 1,000 points and dish out at least 400 assists. The 2-time first-team All-WCC selection, Smart was inducted into the USF Hall of Fame in 2001, following a brilliant career that saw him ranked 10th all-time in scoring in USF's illustrious basketball history. Smart still ranks first at USF in the West and in the West Coast Conference in both assists and assists per game, while ranking 2nd in the league in career steals. After graduating, he played professionally in Poland and in the United States in the Southwest Basketball League while earning league MVP honors in the 1997-98 season.
Orlando's induction into the WCC Hall of Honor is really well deserved, both as an athlete and a person. As team captain and leader, he always had the great ability to understand the magnitude of the responsibility leading with both grace and dignity. After over 30 years, he is still USF's all-time assist leader with 902 assists, second in steals, and scored over 1,500 points in his career. To put this in context, the schedule in those years, teams only played 28 to 30 games. Today's teams play close to 40 games. The assist record is truly a remarkable accomplishment. He had the innate ability to make the right decision to the right player at the right time in the right place for the finish in a critical situation. And as a result of his stellar career, he was inducted into the USF Basketball Hall of Fame. While a student athlete, he always represented USF in a positive way, both on and off the court. His unselfish attitude always embraced everyone, creating a culture of unity. After USF, Orlando went on to play professionally, both with the Golden State Warriors and Denver Nuggets. He also played in the CBA and in Poland in the European League. After his playing career was over, USF's motto, "Change the world from here," has really come into play. He returned to his hometown community, Austin, Texas, where he is currently a sergeant for the Austin Police Department. During his free time, he serves the community as a volunteer youth coach and trainer. On behalf of the University of San Francisco, it is my pleasure to induct Orlando Smart in the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Orlando, congratulations.
From the University of San Francisco, Orlando Smart.
I mean, Orlando, we'll get started into that playing career, all the assists, all the points, all that you did for USF basketball coming out of that dark period. I mean, what are you most proud of that you still have standing there at USF?
Well, it's kind of tough to say. It's just, you know, the camaraderie we had, the teammates that I had, the coaching staff, everyone. It's more than just the statistics. It's just the family atmosphere we had, you know, a kid coming from Texas, coming out to California. It was such just a different environment. You know, it taught me so much. I grew up a lot, and I have nothing. It's more so what they did for me than what I did for them.
I want to talk about your teams under Coach Bravelli. You guys brought back some energy and excitement to San Francisco basketball. It's similar, I think, to the team that they have this year. What does it mean to you to be a part of that first resurgence in the 80s, and do you see that in a bit of today's team?
Oh, definitely. When Coach Bravelli and USF, they recruited me, I didn't know much about USF at the time. You know, through their recruitment, I found out about the Bill Cartwrights and the Bill Russells and all the storied history. So to bring just a little bit of that, you know, feedback from the fans and just the community of San Francisco to get that resurgence back, to kind of start that off, it brought me a sense of pride, and we just wanted to continue the legacy that those guys built, and the team that they have now has had a phenomenal year, and it's so exciting just to be a part of.
And of course now, I mean, your life, you're living back in your hometown, or in Texas, and in your free time, I've been told that you're coaching and training some local youth. What did you learn from your time at San Francisco that's helping you in your day-to-day non-basketball life?
Well, at San Francisco, when you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, you have no idea of the platform that you have. So when I was there, I volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club. I had a professor, Professor Edwards. He invited me to come speak to his wife's elementary school. And actually, one night, and these are things, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was just not old enough, mature enough. I was just going through college life. A USF player came to me, his uncle. He said, "Hey, could you talk to my nephew for me? Just give him some words of encouragement." He's probably about 12 or 13 years old. couple years later, I found out it was Ali Thomas, a guard that played at USF. So how that translate over to coaching youth and being a police officer, you know, working with people, being inspirational for kids, teaching them things that I got taught growing up. So that's how USF at the time was shaping me for my life today.
And I want to give you a chance to thank those people who you have here today. Floor is yours.
Okay. Well, when you have things like this, you can never, there's no way to thank everyone. There's so many people that I would never be able to mention or name, but from Little League coaches to high school coaches, obviously my college coaches, but I have my wife and my kids who, they've inspired me even when they didn't know it. I have friends here, my family is here to just be a part of this for me. It's amazing. USF and Coach Ravelli, it was a family from day one. You know, my fondest memory is on my recruiting trip, and that's what I think kind of swayed me. I still have a picture. I was at his house with Miss Ravelli and Mike, who's my teammate as well, Michelle, the whole team there around me. And out of all the recruiting trips I went on, and those former other athletes can know, they surrounded me and they made me feel like a family. All the other people were just telling me about things, oh, you can start, you can play, and all the things that they do to recruit you. So when you have that family and you have that foundation, it's a lasting lifetime.
Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you.
From Pacific, Janie Gibson Mchugh. Janie was a member of the Pacific Women's Volleyball Program in 3 different capacities: as a player, as an assistant coach, and as the Tigers' head coach from 2001 to 2005. The 3-time All-American, was the first women's volleyball player to play for the U.S. national team and to play in the Olympics. Mchugh represented the U.S. in the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. During her 4-year playing career at Pacific, she led the Tigers to 3 state conference championships. As a senior, she earned AVCA First Team All-America honors and was tabbed a NorCal Conference MVP. She continues to hold the program's record for blocks solos in a match, with 9 against Stanford in 1981. In 1982, Gibson Mchugh was the recipient of an NCAA postgraduate scholarship and was inducted into the Pacific Hall of Fame.
Jane is an amazing combination of some very special things. She's ultimately competitive, extraordinarily talented, and dedicated to being great.
She will take any situation and take that energy level and dial it up 10 notches and get everybody engaged and involved. She has that special something.
She would routinely just waltz onto the court in our scrimmages, and without even warming up or without even doing anything, she would basically wipe the floor with us. She was, her talent was something that I was always very much in awe of.
The University of the Pacific is about family. It's about closeness. It's about getting to know everyone. Janie has and always will be a family person. So she fit in this atmosphere perfectly and added to it to even make it a better family the whole time she was here.
She made super close relationships with all of our professors. She was making sure that we were going to class, and she knew when we were going to class. She absolutely knew. She had those relationships.
She is probably one of the strongest people I've ever known. She battled cancer not too long ago, and she won. Which is a huge inspiration for a lot of people because, it affects a lot of us. And she was, cancer picked a fight with the wrong person because she is someone you don't mess with.
On behalf of the University of the Pacific, it's my pleasure to induct
Janie Mchugh into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class.
I'm very happy for you. This is a very deserving honor that you're receiving. I hope you have a great time with your family and everyone else. I'm very happy for you.
From the University of Pacific, here she is, Janie Gibson Mchugh.
Isn't Dunning the best? I mean, talk about a mentor. So happy he did that for me.
Jane, I want to get started. Your involvement at Pacific as a player, an assistant coach, as a coach, what is it about the Pacific community that kept you coming back?
Well, you know, Karen mentioned something about great people, and one of my father's mantras was surround yourself with greatness. And that was really easy to do at the University of the Pacific. Terry Liskevich had a vision of building a top-notch Division I volleyball program, and he took a chance on a skinny little kid from Arvada, Colorado. And I remember coming out, and back in those days, you could actually try out with the team, you could practice. You had to pay for your own way for your recruiting trip. So I flew out, and I'll never forget seeing these California girls playing volleyball, and I thought, what am I doing? It was crazy, but it worked out great. And surrounding yourself with the great family atmosphere that John mentioned in the video, and the great people at Pacific is why I stayed. And what better way to give back to the game that provided you with so much than to do it at your alma mater? So it was just a really special time.
And of course, the success for you as a player, 3 straight conference championships, and as a senior, first-team All-American. What sticks out to you as most important?
You know, there's a couple of 3 moments, and none of them are about any individual thing. Those of you that have ever been to the University of the Pacific have been to the A.G. Spano Center. Well, before the A.G. Spano Center, that was one of the things that Terry told me, that you're going to play in this great arena your freshman year, you're going to be there for 4 years. Well, it opened my senior year. So we played in this little Quonset hut of a gym, and I remember beating the first-ranked team that we ever beat, and we beat Long Beach State at home in our tiny little Quonset hut building. And I don't know, Karen and maybe Galberto will remember what a payphone is, but I remember racing back to my dormitory and picking up the payphone and calling my parents back in Colorado to tell them that we had our first win over a ranked team. And then opening the Spano Center, being the first athletic team to compete in that building was really special. And the third thing was playing in the very first ever NC2A national championship for women's volleyball. We were the Wicked stepchildren. We were part of a different organization, the AIAW, and they were fabulous, but the NC2A finally decided that women's volleyball had a place within their organization. And to see how it has grown since that very first NC2A championship, and to see the number of schools that are sponsoring fully funded programs, I feel like it's kind of nice to pave the way for those programs.
Jane, I want to give you time to thank the people who came here today.
Well, I've already thanked Terry Liskevich for taking that chance on me. I want to thank my family. They're all over here. My husband, Tom, and it was funny, you talked about putting up with wins and losses, and my children, Ryan and Jack, would say, hide the sharp objects when we would come home with a loss. So they pretty much think they owned the Spano Center as children. Everybody knew them, everybody loved them. I loved them very much, and they couldn't have done it without their support. My sister Patty, my brother Jim, we grew up in a very athletic family, and we were always at sporting events of some kind, whether they be our own or whether they be a professional sporting event in Denver. My niece Janelle is here, and my beautiful sister-in-law and wife are here, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of that table right there. I have a former teammate here. Suze is here, and I have a former volleyball camper here, and volleyball has tentacles that just reach. And it's just lovely to be a part of the game. I'm really happy to be representing University of the Pacific and the game of volleyball. Thank you all, you guys, for being here too.
Thank you.
From BYU, Tiffany Lott Hogan, an Olympian, a world record holder, a 3-time NCAA champion. Tiffany was inducted into the State of Utah Sports Hall of Fame for her brilliant accomplishments with the Cougars. During her track and field career, she won NCAA titles in the indoor 55-meter hurdles and twice in the outdoor heptathlon. She was a 10-time NCAA All-American, inducted into the BYU Hall of Fame in 2008. After graduating, she competed for the United States at the 2004 Olympics. She received numerous awards throughout her career, including the Female Athlete of the Year by Track and Field magazine, the Dale Rex Memorial Award from BYU, and the Utah Collegiate Female Athlete of the Year by the Multiple Sclerosis Society.
Tiffany Lott Hogan is an outstanding athlete. She was able to achieve all the things that we would ever hope that she could, in the fact that she was a conference champion, she was a national champion, and went on to represent BYU in the Olympic Games in 2004. She's an all-around athlete. She participated in basketball and track, and she did, you name it, she did it. She even played on our flag football team at BYU in the off-season. I think one of the things we need to talk about is her grit. Sometimes people don't understand what it takes to be a level athlete at her particular position. When she was in college, she was doing the things that the coach wants her to do, of course, and then she did one thing the coach was not so happy about. She played a pickup basketball game one day. She was undercut, blew out an ACL, was out for a full year. The interesting thing was she worked so hard to get herself back that inside of 1 year from that injury, she came back and ran a world best at 55-meter hurdles at 7.3 seconds, not to be equaled since. That's just one example. A second example was she tried out to make the Australian Olympic team when we went to Australia back in 2000 and didn't quite make it. Went on to have her first child, came back, and made the second one for 204 and represent the United States in the wonderful country of Greece. On behalf of BYU, it is my pleasure to induct Tiffany Lott Hogan into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Tiffany, congratulations. In every sense of the word, you have certainly earned this honor. We are so very proud of you, and we wish you the very best.
It should be noted that the BYU flag football team was terribly underappreciated in those years. Tiffany Lott Hogan, congratulations.
Well, Tiffany, I don't think your coach is going to want you playing any basketball today, so hopefully that doesn't.
Yeah, my athletic career is over, so it really doesn't matter what happens nowadays.
We'll get into it. I mean, you were a world record holder, an Olympian, a 3-time NCAA champion. When I say those things, what sticks out to you?
Well, they're pretty fun to be able to brag about. Each one was pretty special. When I went to college, my freshman year was pretty successful for me, and I had a reporter come and ask me what it is I wanted to accomplish as a collegiate athlete. And I said I wanted to be, I want to go and represent BYU and be a national champion more than once. And I was able to accomplish that. I was able to do twice in the heptathlon, only once in the hurdles because then I tore my ACL. But and other injuries that just come along with sport. But so that was a goal that I had from my freshman year. The world record was actually something I wasn't even chasing. At the time, I was doing a pentathlon, which is 5 events, and the hurdles are the first event. And I ran through the finish line. They had the time displayed, and the time displayed isn't always accurate. And so I said, well, it's got to be a PR, which means personal record. And so I was pretty ecstatic about that. So I'm setting up for my next event because we keep moving on in events. And as I'm setting up my high jump marks, they start announcing that I'd set the arena record and the conference record and the NCAA record and then the American record. And they finally announced that I set a world record, and I was like blown away. I thought it was pretty cool. But then I had to keep moving on with my events, and then I got severely injured a few events later, so that humbled me. But probably the biggest one was making the Olympics. I had a goal from the age of 12 that I wanted to be an Olympian, and so that took me 17 years to accomplish. Lots of injuries to overcome, coming back from childbirth. So that's probably the best one that I get to brag about when I talk about myself.
your time at BYU, a 10-time All-American and already inducted into BYU's Hall of Fame. As a local kid from Utah, what do those accomplishments mean to you?
Well, it means that I had a great support network. There was no way I was going to be able to do that, being that local kid. Yes, I was blessed with a lot of talent, but without having direction and having some amazing teammates that pushed me every day, I wasn't going to be able to accomplish that on my own. I had trainers that helped me heal. As Coach said, when I set that world record, it was actually 11 months, almost to the day after I had surgery. And so without that kind of network, there was no way I was going to accomplish that.
I want to let you thank some of the people that you have here today.
Well, thank you. So when I sent out invites to my family, I didn't even send out any to my teammates because we're all at the age of having lots of kids still at home. And I had 5 or 6 of them show up last night and surprise me. And we counted, we had probably 25, 30 kids among us. Thus, I didn't send out invites. So it's thank you, teammates, for coming. They're the ones that helped me get to where I got to. My family, my dad's here, my mother-in-law's here, my husband, Brent, is here. And he's the one that when I'm now coaching track, and so when I'm gone for weekends, he gets to be single dad and raising the kids. And I've got a sister-in-law and her husband here. And obviously my 3 children. Even though, you know, they're little, I look up to them and see the things that they go through that I didn't have to go through as a kid, and the challenges that they're overcoming, and I really look up to them. And then one that isn't here with us anymore is my mom. She passed away a few years ago, but without her, she's the one that helped me be the woman that I am.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
From Gonzaga University, Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison's name was synonymous with college basketball back in 2006. He adorned the front cover of magazines and had the country talking about his mane, his mustache, and Gonzaga basketball. He led the Bulldogs to a number 5 ranking in the final Associated Press poll. Led the nation in scoring his last year, becoming only the 2nd Gonzaga player to ever do it. He was named Gonzaga's inaugural AP preseason selection as a junior and was a consensus AP All-American first-team pick. A star player nationally, Morrison also dominated the West Coast Conference. He earned back-to-back WCC tournament MVP honors and was a 2-time WCC first-team honoree and the Player of the Year in 2006. Finished his career as the 3rd leading scorer in Gonzaga history. Also ended his time 3rd in career rankings for field goals made. He was drafted by the Charlotte Bobcats as the 3rd pick in the overall 2006 draft, the highest selection ever for a Gonzaga player.
Adam was one of the most impactful people, you know, I've ever been around. I mean, he was a ball of fire in more ways than one. You know, the energy and competitiveness he brought to the game was something that I had never really seen. In you know, dealing with Adam on a daily basis, you know, was a bit of an adventure. But, you know, the one thing you knew is you had a guy on your side that was going to go to battle and was going to do whatever it took to come out on top. Adam kind of had this, you know, rock star aura about him, you know, his look, you know, the way he acted and his little quirks he had. And, you know, I mean, just it was something, you know, the attention was something that we weren't used to, is, you know, getting off a bus at a hotel and there'd be 50 people waiting for autographs. His journey does parallel our program's journey, you know, kind of the underdog coming up from nothing to national prominence. And, you know, and I think the things that, you know, Adam has in his DNA, that Gonzaga has in its DNA, is competitiveness, toughness, you know, a will to win, you know, not accept maybe traditional, you know, boundaries. And, you know, so there's no doubt, you know, Adam is a Zag through and through. Adam came back to Gonzaga and did much better as a student after his retirement than he had previously. I mean, it just shows he's a super intelligent guy, and he's obviously very, very interesting to talk to. I mean, whether you're talking politics or finances, I mean, he's got opinions on everything. And You know, so he's just a great guy to be around. You know what I mean? It's always, you know, you're always going to be surprised, you know, with something he comes up with. So great conversations and a lot of fun, and it's great to call him a lifelong friend. On the behalf of Gonzaga University, it is my pleasure to induct Adam Morrison into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Congrats, Adam.
Adam Morrison is the reason my brothers and I even knew there was a Gonzaga. The mustache didn't make it here today, but Adam did.
No, didn't.
Congratulations.
Adam, let's talk about that year in 2006, the perfect record in WCC play, the #5 ranking, the Co-National Player of the Year. What was the most important accomplishment for you that junior year?
I think just going undefeated in conference. I mean, some of the former athletes who were inducted and spoke earlier, you know, the individual awards really don't matter. What you really miss the most and you think back the most is the locker room. And so that year going undefeated, it was the second time I did it in my career. That when I was there, it was really special just because we were a young team and we were taking that next step of prominence. And so that's the stuff I remember the most, is the locker room, the family atmosphere. You know, the individual awards are cool, but they're only cool to tell you, like, your kids and you were actually good. And that's, other than that, like the memories that you make and the family stuff, it really is true. When you retire and you stop playing, that's what you miss the most.
Well, lucky for them, you'll be able to tell them you were actually good. Your career at Gonzaga, finishing 3rd leading scorer in school history, and then the draft pick 3rd overall. At that time, what did you think of getting the national attention the school was getting in the rear view? How much of that, of your career, helped with that?
It was definitely, like Tommy said, it was definitely kind of a rock star thing. It was fun at times, and also it was a burden, to be honest. It was a little bit tough to deal with because you're not prepared for that at any time in your life to be, you know, viewed in that way, I guess. But looking back on it now, it obviously helped the program. It helped myself personally, so I can't really complain about it. But there was times when, you know, signing a napkin or something at Applebee's with your family wasn't the greatest thing to be doing. But other than that, you know, it was great.
Something I thought was cool, you were childhood diabetic, and you and your dad started that annual Horst tournament that you guys put on up in Spokane for the American Diabetes Association. How did that get started?
Yeah, my dad was a former college basketball coach, and he obviously taught me everything I know about the game. And so he just wanted to raise money for the JDRF and the American Diabetes Association. So we did a horse tournament, and we did it coincided with a golf tournament just to kind of give back, obviously. And it was fun. We did it for, I think, 5 years. So it was something that we really enjoyed, and something that I was proud of, to be able to just attach my name to something to give back to, you know, research and things of that nature.
I want to give you time now to thank the people who came here.
I'd like to thank my parents, John and Wanda, for being here, always being by my side. I'd like to thank all the staff at Gonzaga. Like Tommy said, I was a little bit different than I am now back then, so it was a challenge to be around me at certain points. You know, the diabetes stuff was different for them, and they always made it very welcoming and very easy for me. That's part of the reason I've always had such a special place in my heart for the university, is because they really took a flyer on me. Nobody recruited me. Everybody was scared of, you know, a skinny white kid with type 1 diabetes. Nobody wanted me. They were the only university that gave me a chance, and they let me be myself. So I'm really thankful to them. You know, all the support staff, everybody's been so gracious to me throughout the time, and working with them now. So I'm really blessed and thankful, and just everybody who supported me, I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam will be on the radio call Monday night when the Bulldogs take the floor over at the Orleans Arena. From San Diego, Allie Cox, the first USD rower to earn all West Coast Conference honors 3 times. While at San Diego, she lifted her game to the international level and was in the women's fours at the Under-23 World Championships in Denmark. A year later, after graduating, she won a gold medal in the women's eights at the 2002 World Rowing Championships. In 2004 at the Olympics, she rowed the Americans' silver medal-winning eights boat. Cox majored in communications, earned a minor in marketing business. She retired after the 2004 Olympics, but returned to the international rowing scene in 2010, competing against rowers a decade younger. Today, she becomes the first woman rower to be inducted into this Hall of Honor.
Allie deserves to be on the West Coast Conference Hall of Honors because she really changed the face of rowing at USD. She was not only a successful athlete, but was also a leader on our team, and she really elevated the entire team to be a lot more successful. And when I look at the program today, I believe that Allie had a big piece in shaping what it is today, being a competitive part of the West Coast Conference and also competing at the national level. In addition to her rowing at USD, Allie took her rowing to the next level and was a part of the national team and part of the Olympic team in 2004 that won a silver medal in Athens. Allie truly embodies the culture of USD by her leadership, her passion, and her drive for results. Really in everything that she does, she puts her mind to it and gets things done, whether it's rowing at USD, rowing at the national level, or her marketing career, which she's been tremendously successful at. Besides Allie's success in rowing, she's had a huge impact in the world in her marketing career. She has done a lot with nonprofits, including the National Rowing Foundation and a grassroots campaign after Hurricane Sandy for hurricane relief. And in addition to that, the company that she started in Turlock is a marketing company that specializes in agriculture marketing. This was a field that had little marketing, and it was a high need for California, so she's done a great job in that. On behalf of the University of San Diego, it is my pleasure to induct Allie Cox to the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honors class.
A proud Torero, please welcome Allie Cox.
Well, Allie, I think something that wasn't mentioned in the video but that we did end up hearing was your coach had said you had never rowed in your life before college. Now you're an Olympian. Take me through what you remember about your start to rowing.
Yeah, so I had never rowed, and but I was a pretty successful high school athlete and I guess childhood athlete, all thanks to my mom driving me to everything. But I had never rowed, but I had been really competitive in sports forever. So when I was walking, I transferred to University of San Diego as a sophomore, and when I was walking on campus, the coach at the time came right up to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about rowing?" And I kind of was like, At my first college, I went to rowing parties, and I was like, "These guys are tall and cute, okay." And then she was like, "Well, do you just want to come down?" And I said, "Okay, well, I love sports, and sure, I'll give it a shot." And you know, we were joking at the table earlier. I showed up for my first rowing practice in a swimsuit because I actually didn't know that like rowing was like on top of the water, but I quickly learned.
You're the first San Diego rower to earn 3 all-WCC honors. What does that mean to you?
It means that there's one less woman from Gonzaga up there is what that means. We're just one big family. No, it was really, I felt really proud to be, and I really do mean that. Gonzaga has an amazing rowing program, so they really were mostly all women from Gonzaga. I just felt really proud to be representing a lot of women, and also a lot of women from University of San Diego who for generations before us were kind of like unsung heroes. It's dark and early in the morning, and we walk the boat in, so that literally means you're walking the boat in the sand up to your knees, and then you get in the water because there's not a dock. I didn't actually know how to use a dock until I kind of like fell off it at the national team, but I learned that was fine. But we I just kind of felt proud to be representing a lot of women who worked really hard and didn't necessarily have tons of fast boats and not a ton of successes, but had a lot of hard work. So I just felt really proud. You know, and it's hard, rowing is hard. Like, it's just a hard sport. And it is the epitome of teamwork. Like, you literally are at the mercy of whatever, how the person before you, behind you, or behind, you're like, however their body is tilted, however high their hands are, whatever they're doing affects your comfort level and how well you can row. So there's nothing, I mean, we talk about team sport, but until you're on like unsteady, like water, there's nothing that is quite the same.
And Allie, I know you mentioned your mom's here, but who else would you like to thank?
I, of course, have to thank my mom. Just the best sports mom there possibly is. She never pushed me, but I never needed to be pushed. I was so competitive from the first second. But so thank her for driving me always and always supporting me, and my dad, who's very competitive and a great role model. And really, I just think of all the amazing coaches I've had over the years. And I appreciate how they taught me how to learn, how to lead, and also how to follow. And I have to do that, you know, every day in life. So I think about those coaches, and also just really the San Diego family is a strong, fierce family. We're kind of cool, laid back because we're in SoCal, but we're just a really tight-knit group, and I appreciate that. And Kai, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all you've done to support rowing over the years. It's a non-revenue producing sport, and we all know that. But it is makes up in a lot of other things. And I am really psyched that Sarah Trowbridge, who's one of my national teammates, is now the head coach. So watch out, everybody. USD's coming up hot. So I just really thank all of you. So
thank you, Allie.
From Pepperdine, Roberto Escudero. Over 37 years, he fashioned one of the most prolific coaching careers in NCAA women's tennis history. From 1978 until his retirement in 2014, Escudero led the Waves to the postseason on 31 occasions, including each of his final 27 seasons. His squads finished with a top 10 national ranking 7 times. The Waves dominated the WCC during his tenure, winning the regular season or tournament title in 25 of 29 years, including 14 straight from 1988 to 2001. Pepperdine women's tennis players were named All-Americans 31 times under his leadership. 42 singles players and 24 doubles teams earned All-WC first-team honors. His players earned spots on the WCC all-academic list 43 times.
Roberto Escudero deserves to be named to the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class because he was great over time, and you know, just about anybody can jump up and win something or do something well one time. And if I'm not mistaken, he won 24 of 27 possible conference championships and 14 championships in a row. And so he was fabulous over time. Gual was special in many ways, including a special friend. But mostly he was a special teacher. And he had this wonderful, pleasing teaching manner. And it wasn't top down, my way or the highway. It was about care, respect, and he had this great patience as a teacher and coach. And I think he got growth and behavior change, and they were confident because of all that special manner that he had. When Gual was on the court, it was time to train, time to compete, and yet on and off the court, he always did things right. And and he always knew that there were some things more important than tennis. On behalf of Pepperdine University, it's my pleasure to induct Roberto Escudero into the 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor class. Gual, thanks for 50 years of friendship, and congratulations.
From Pepperdine University, Coach Roberto Escudero.
Well, Coach, can you guys hear me good? Okay, cool. Sorry. All of the success that you guys had with Pepperdine's women's tennis, especially under your tutelage, what sticks out to you as some of the most memorable times you've had?
Well, first I wanted to say, Jane Davis, thank you for saying my name correctly, Gualberto. And I have been in some public telephones, yes, and I carry my little flip phone still. So I thought, am I the last one here? I thought maybe they put the best for last, but I think they put the aged for last. And the only thing I can say about that is that I weigh the same now as I did when I was playing tennis at Pepperdine. I forgot the question.
Coach, all this success, Pepperdine women's tennis, what sticks out to you as some of the most memorable times?
Well, first, there wouldn't be any success unless I went to Pepperdine. And Coach John B. McClung, who was a history professor, no tennis player, called me 3 times. I was dumb enough not to say anything the first 2 times, but the third time I said, I'm driving over, Coach. He saw me play his number 2 player, a couple of sets, we split it, and he said, you have a scholarship. And I would like to say now that the rest is history. That was 1968. And I still forgot your question.
Pepperdine's really successful, and you were a huge part of it.
Well, it was successful before I got to Pepperdine. Before I got there, they had national champions in tennis. The football team in 1947 was undefeated, and they were declared national small college champions. So I just followed their footsteps. And of course, it was easy to get players to come to Malibu. Therefore, it was easy to get some of the best players. And it was easier to beat most of the teams that we played.
Your legacy at Pepperdine is still standing strong as the tennis team is still dominant in the conference. What do you hope that your legacy is that you left behind?
Well, it's probably the thing that makes me the happiest. It is that it wasn't so much that the players played quality tennis on the court, but they became quality people after and beyond. Some were our lawyers and businesswomen, and most of all, they're moms of beautiful kids, and they're doing great with their families.
And Coach, you were obviously a part of Pepperdine women's tennis for a long time, part of Pepperdine community. I want to give you some time to thank the people who you have here.
At the Hall of Fame dinner, I forgot to mention that my wife was a big part of my success. I didn't get home till past 8 p.m. most evenings. But now I'm going to remember her first. My wife, Tanha, is right there, and her family is here, 4 sisters and more. And on my side of the family, my 2 sons, Kevin and Egan, are here. And my sister, Nancy, she thinks she is my twin, and she is here. So I can't forget all the friends. Alan Hopkins and Christy Hopkins are here. Christy played basketball for Pepperdine. And Alan was my assistant coach. He followed me from BYU. I stole him. He said he would have never got to Pepperdine if it wasn't for the policeman that gave me a ticket for not wearing my glasses while making a turn. He saw the policeman was going to take me into jail, so he followed me all the way to jail and made sure that I could drive back. Well, I couldn't drive back without my glasses, so he drove for me the rest of the time. And Alan Hopkins was a great, big part of the success at Pepperdine Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, everybody.
Coach, you can always count on a BYU guy to keep you out of jail. That concludes our 2019 West Coast Conference Hall of Honor induction ceremony. Let's give everybody a warm round of applause. We remind those honorees to come forward with their plaques, and we'll take a group photo and keep that forever. We thank the membership here today, administrators, coaches, student athletes, the Orleans for providing